Everyone turned when the elevator doors opened. A hush fell over the sleek, pristine lobby. She stepped out shivering, soaked from the rain. Mud splattered from her knees down. Her clothes clung to her hair plastered to her face, and her shoes. They squelched with every step. In a room full of crisp suits and polished shoes, she looked like she didn't belong. People whispered. A few laughed under their breath. Security eyed her suspiciously, ready to step in. But something in her eyes, determined, unshaken, made them hesitate. Her name was Emily, 25 years old. No car, no designer clothes, barely enough for the bus fare, but a heart full of hope and a resume printed at the public library just that morning. She had woken before dawn to prepare, but on her way here, she saw something. An elderly man struggling to rise from a flooded curb while others walked on by. Without thinking, she rushed to help him. She missed her bus, ran through a construction site to make up time, and slipped in the mud, trying to take a shortcut. Now she stood in this lobby, tracking dirt on the marble floors, clutching a water-stained folder. She hadn't come here to impress with appearances. She came to prove her worth. They didn't know yet that this muddy girl, this outsider, was about to teach them all a lesson in character. And it would start with just one chance. She had left home early that morning, clothes neatly pressed, resume carefully tucked into a plastic sleeve, umbrella in hand. It was a small thing, offering little protection from the rain, but it was enough. She thought today could change her life. As she stepped onto the street, she saw Mrs. Harris, her 80-year-old neighbor, struggling with bags of groceries. Without hesitation, Emily ran over. Umbrella forgotten. "Let me help you," she said, gently lifting the bags, guiding the elderly woman inside. By the time Emily left, the bus had gone. She ran to catch another, shoes slipping on the wet pavement, breath fogging in the cold air. She took a shortcut through a construction zone, her only chance to make it on time. She slipped. Mud splattered her skirt, covered her shoes, smeared up her sleeves. She scrambled to her feet, heart racing. But she didn't stop. Most people would have called it a loss, but not her. She kept going. She needed this more than she needed to be early. And now, she was here, in the boardroom of one of the city's most prestigious companies. The room gleamed with polished wood and glass. At the long table sat the candidates, sharp suits, confident smiles, flawless resumes, and then the door creaked open. Emily stepped inside, her skirt streaked with mud, her damp sweater clinging to her frame, shoes once beige, now a dark, soaked brown. Conversations halted, heads turned. A candidate smirked. Another cleared his throat, shifting uncomfortably. Whispers floated across the room like smoke. She felt every stare digging into her skin. But she didn't flinch. She walked slowly, deliberately, and took a seat at the far end of the table. The CEO, a silver-haired man in his 60s, looked up from her resume. His eyebrow lifted in quiet curiosity. The room was thick with unspoken tension. Then Emily spoke. "I know I don't look the part right now," she said, her voice unwavering. "But I believe character should matter more than appearance." The room froze. One of the interviewers blinked in surprise. Another candidate shifted in his chair. The CEO didn't speak. He just stared at her, really looked at her, and something softened in his gaze. Behind the mud and the mess, he saw something the others didn't. A woman who showed up anyway, who didn't let the world's judgment stop her. And in that moment, a shift began. The CEO leaned back in his chair, his eyes distant as he spoke. 30 years ago, I walked into a bank interview covered in grease from my night shift at the auto shop. I was 22, no degree, just a kid fixing engines at night, studying by day. I was exhausted, broke. When I showed up, the receptionist almost sent me away. He smiled faintly, his voice carrying the weight of experience. But one man saw past the grease. He gave me a chance. That day changed my life. He paused, looking directly at Emily. Today, I return the favor. I see grit. I see integrity. And I see someone who didn't let mud or judgment stop her. That's the kind of person I want in this company. Her eyes welled up, but she didn't cry. She simply nodded. And for the first time since she arrived, she smiled. Weeks later, Emily stood in the center of a bustling meeting room. No longer the girl drenched and muddy. She was poised, confident. Her voice was calm, her ideas sharp. And the team didn't listen out of obligation. They listened out of respect. Outside the glass walls, the CEO watched with a quiet smile. He wasn't just proud. He was reminded of the power of one moment, one decision, and how it could change everything. Later, in the break room, a new intern spilled her coffee, her face flushed with embarrassment. Emily walked over, knelt down, and helped her clean it up. "Don't worry," Emily whispered with a smile. "We all have our moments." Emily didn't just get the job. She reshaped the way the company saw people. She reminded them all that behind every messy first impression, every rough edge, there could be someone extraordinary. And in a world obsessed with polish and perfection, she proved that grit, kindness, and courage shine brighter than any suit ever could. And with that, she lit a path for others, muddy shoes, trembling hearts, and all.